This video will be about how to edit in iMovie a movie that I created on my iPhone. The iPhone is a very powerful video capture device, and we will be talking about the way to capture video in another video, but this one is specifically about how to do the editing. Now, iMovie comes with every iPhone, every iPad, every Mac, whether it's a laptop or a desktop, and it's basically a free app from Apple, and it's pretty powerful. You're not going to be able to create a Hollywood movie on it, but you can make some very interesting movies that will, your friends will say, boy, that looks professional. And that's really what we're after. For the Android phones, if you're on a Mac with an Android phone, you also can use iMovie, but Google Photos has a movie editor if you're using a Windows machine. Basically, Google's movie editing and iMovie are very similar, and it's just a question of getting used to one program or the other. I'm going to open up iMovie and create what's called a new project. Now, this morning, which was Sunday, there is a farmer's market here in Cupertino. And so I decided to go down to the farmer's market and see if I could create an iMovie. Now, so I'm going to start it from the beginning. And the way to do this is that you're in the media section here, and you can create a new movie, and it will ask whether you want to do a movie or a trailer. I'm going to pick movie, but trailers are fun, and you should look at this. So here I'm going to create a new one. And the first thing I'm going to do is something that's a little bit counterintuitive because you have to save it, and there's no way to do it except to go back to projects, and then it brings up the save button, and I'm going to call this Making an iMovie. All right, and I'm going to say OK, and then I have to go back into it one more time, and I'm going to import my media. Now, I've actually already picked out the media, and so let me get to the file that I want, and it's called Farmers Market Selects. So you can see here that I actually took, I think, 53 clips, short little bits of movie footage, and then from that I selected out about 30 of them so that I could create this movie. So I'm going to import these all. Down here you'll see the import, and what it basically does is it brings in all the footage that I have selected. Now, what's nice about this is that I actually can do quite a number of things. When I started off, this is, if I select this one and I just play it on the view screen here, you'll see that this is actually called a hyperlapse. What I did is I set the iPhone on the dashboard of my car, and I was using the time-lapse setting, and as the car was moving down the street, the time-lapse is being generated. It's quite a nice effect to sort of show how you're going to get to the market. You can compress time. So that's the first shot that I'm going to use. Okay. Now, the next shot that I'm going to use is I'm going to pick this sign, which is the Oak Shopping Center, which is where this place was, and I'm going to just put it down on my timeline here. Oops. Now, I don't have to use, this is a couple of seconds. I don't really need that much, so I'm going to just go to the edge here, and I'm going to trim it off a bit. So maybe 1 second of this is probably all I need. So just to show you how this is going to work, and you'll see that, and then we'll drag another shot that I took, and I want to say that this is an establishing shot. It's going to sort of show the whole market, and I know that this is the one that I want. And you can see how it's, it sort of establishes what the thing looks like. All right. Now, what next? I'm going to look at some of these other things. There was this great guy there who was handing out samples, and I thought that after I establish the shot, I want to show some activity. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to drag that one right over there. Really, this whole using iMovies is quite easy. It's drag and drop. So here's the establishing shot, and then we go into this shot of the guy giving out. And that was a nice kind of thing. Now I can, I'm going to want to trim some of these things, because I want to keep this under 2 minutes, and I know that if I'm good, I can get this to be at about minute and a half, minute 45, and that's good because people won't look at things that are longer than 2 minutes. And you want to vary the shots. So here I'm going to change the size of this so that I can just see more. Okay. All right, so we've got our hyperlapse that goes to the market. We have the sign for where it is. We have our establishing shot. We have a nice visual of the guy handing out things. Let's see what else we're going to do. There's a great shot here of this woman and her son, and I'm going to add that one in. Actually, this is the boring part, and so I'm going to take it back just to about where the all right, right here. And if you hit Command B, you can actually split the clip, and then you can just delete it. And so now we go from the guy to this woman speaking Spanish to her little one, and I thought it was a nice little shot. Okay, so let's see if some more shots that we can use. Oh, this was a good shot too. This was the organic and sign. I like using signs to sort of set the. Now you don't need a whole lot when you're seeing a sign. You can just use. Yeah, let's just set the marker there, and then hit Command B, and we'll get rid of this section. So we're going from here to the sign, organics, to the establishing shot. Now I'm going to add in a little bit of a time lapse. I set the camera down on the phone on a little tabletop tripod, and I let it run for about a minute, and you're going to get a nice effect of what the action in the now I actually moved the camera at one point because I realized that the angle wasn't right. So I think if I start, if I take it right there, put the cursor, hit Command B again, and we're going to get rid of this little thing. So we're going to go from here to there. That sort of gives you the action of the market. And now I thought what I would do is I take a whole bunch of things that were being sold, and I'd actually put, I mean, there are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 shots. Now that seems like a lot, but what I'm really going to do here is I'm going to put them all here, and then I'm going to make them all smaller. Maybe down around 1/4 of a second. So you'll see the effect of going from one type of vegetable to another, And I think that, you know, you have to think about it in terms of showing some action. This is not a series of stills. This is really somewhat of a story about the fruit. It's really, as you can see, it's all dragging. You don't have to do very much. Probably the only command you have to remember. And now I'm going to select all these. I'll hit the first and the last one with the Shift key. I'm going to go up here to the timing, the speed, and I'm actually going to increase it from normal to fast. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like. So we have the time lapse, and then we go into these quick shots of the different kinds of vegetables and fruit. And the last one was this, as I was walking out. Now let's see where that. As I was walking out, there was this guy selling both fish and durian. Durian is this incredibly smelly fish that is sold in Asian markets, and I'm only going to take part of the whole thing. This is probably enough. I do want to get the people. Yeah, there it is. I'm going to just take this, and then I have a last frame, which is another hyperlapse going home. Now, one of the things about this, the whole thing takes only about 1 minute, but I think it does tell the story. Now, one of the things about this is that there's the hyperlapse and the time-lapse footage has no sound. And silence is not golden, okay? Silence is dull. So you need to put in some audio. And you can go up here, and this connects automatically to your iTunes. You will not be able to hear the copyrighted music on this video, but when I made this video for personal use, you would be able to hear the music. And I know what I want to put into this, quite frankly, because I thought that Appalachian Spring as a sort of a backdrop would be really nice. Now, one of the things about using copyrighted material is you can use it for your own pleasure, but you can't post this online unless you had the rights to the song. So now this is obviously way too long, and I'm going to go to the beginning, or rather, I'm going to go to the end, and I'm going to I'm going to add some titles, okay? And again, with iMovies, it's really pretty simple. I like this pixie dust one for, again, I'm just going to drag it in here, and I'm going to call this Cupertino Farmers Market. And I'm going to make sure that the the sound comes on. And I also want to make sure the sound is at the end here. I'm going to put it a little more out. Now I'm going to add some other titles. For example, I could put this title right above, and I'm going to say going to market. And let's see how this is looking here. Let's get the cursor back to the beginning. All right, so you get the idea. And now I'm going to put another title right above here, which is going to say going home. And I'm also going to put one title here on the, because most people don't know what a Duran is. It's going to move it to the right spot. I'm going to call this selling smelly Duran. Okay, so let's go over here and just sort of see. So this gives us a better understanding of what was actually going on by adding the titles. The music end. So this comes out to be exactly 1:30, which is just perfect. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to export it. I have removed the copyrighted music so that you can't hear it during this instructional video. And so therefore I am going to be able to upload this to YouTube. I'm going to create a file here. You know, it will take about a minute to render this. This 1.5-minute movie is 228 megabytes. I'm doing that at 1080p, which is high definition. If you wanted to go smaller, standard definition is 720. You could reduce it down to about 140. But I like to do it at 1080p. You can, if you went to best with regards to quality, you can see how this jumps up to 1.6 gigs. That's just too big to have around. And you'll see that showing this movie at 1080p with high quality is really quite good. So I'm going to say next. And I'm just going to put this on my desktop so we can see it in just a minute. All right, what you do is you wait for this circle to be filled in. And then you get this sign, you know, shared successfully. Movie that I think is a good example of how you could take a average kind of scene and create something that's a little bit more than just your normal video. Hope you liked it, and we'll see you next month. Thanks.